live on a cloudy, but not supposed to rain, allegedly here. I'm looking up because I do my show, my studio's in the basement of my house. So I'm looking at the frosted windows here in the basement to see what I could tell. You can't see through them too well, but enough to know when it's cloudy and sunny. And it is a cloudy Thursday morning. It's going to be hot again today, but not quite as bad. Got the rain yesterday. If you're in Northeast Ohio, it's supposed to clear up today at some point, and then the rain will be back on the weekend. There's your weather update. Now, let's talk about sports and everything else. This is the latest edition of the Bullpen. We are brought to you, as always, by Bet Rivers, and cool things going on right now at Bet Rivers. The Open Championship is underway, and you can get a profit boost from Bet Rivers each day. Opt in and earn a profit boost of up to 50% each day of the Open. There's a new boost waiting for you each day. See the Bet Rivers app or go to betrivers.com for more details. Check it out. Golf, tennis, whatever you want, we've got you covered. So make sure you're doing that, and there you go. So a lot to get to today. I got some baseball I want to talk about with the season returning tomorrow, the regular season. So we'll get to that. I'll answer your questions in a little bit if you sent them on Twitter or if you put them in the YouTube chat. I just stupidly got rid of my Twitter. All right, I'll bring it back up there. So you can do that, or you can just put them right here in the YouTube chat, as my guy Sam Hill does all the time with the bull and fox emojis. No Dustin today. He's been sick as a dog. He's been sick for like a week. I was texting with him yesterday. He's a mess, but hopefully he'll turn the corner here soon and be back with us next week. But he is struggling at the moment, but he'll be all right. But just going through it right now. Browns training camp is just about to get started. Tomorrow, the rookies report. On Tuesday next week, the veterans report. And then obviously on Wednesday, they'll start practicing next week. Well, the whole team. You'll see the rookies will be out there, but the whole team will start practicing next Wednesday. And the first practice available for fans to see will be a week from tomorrow, the 25th. 3 weeks from tomorrow is the Browns' first preseason game in Carolina against the Panthers. They're doing 2 weeks of working out with another team leading up to the first preseason game in Carolina and the second preseason game in Philadelphia. And then the final preseason game will be against the Rams on August 23rd. It's all right around the corner, folks. I know the expectations for the Browns, understandably are not very high heading into this season. The hope is that they could shock you, that they get great quarterback play somehow, whether it's the veteran or, more likely or more hopefully. Maybe, I don't know about more likely, but it would give you more optimism. I don't know if more hopefully makes any sense. If it was a young guy where it could potentially lead to something, whether that's Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel. But it's all here. I mean, we're 2 weeks away from the Hall of Fame game. The regular season in the NFL begins 7 weeks from tonight with the Thursday night opener. And although it's weird, it's always a weird time of the year because you don't want to rush the summer. The hot weather's nice for most people at least. And you don't want it to go by too quick because then school starts and vacations come to an end and all that type of stuff. But also, for most of us, we're very excited about the start of football season. This year, there'll be a Friday. I can't remember if there was the Friday game on opening Friday last year. I'm drawing a blank on whether that was the case. You know what? I guess I could just look it up. Why not? But or maybe you guys can look it up for me. I can't remember if there was a Friday nighter, but this year the season starts, as I said, 7 weeks from tonight. Cowboys and Eagles in Philadelphia. That game will be on NBC and Peacock, an 8:20 start. Then the Friday night game, I think this is the first year, will be in Brazil. It'll be the Chiefs and the Chargers in that one. That game will be on YouTube TV. I've been going back and forth depending on the season between YouTube TV and Fubo, But I think I'm going back to YouTube TV here permanently, especially now that I can watch the Guardians through the MLB app. And then, of course, the full slate of games on Sunday, September the 7th, 7 weeks from this Sunday, including the Browns, who open up against the Bengals. The game's going to be on Fox first week of the season, even though it's two AFC teams. And that's how we're going to kick it off in week one. And then the Sunday nighter, you got some pretty exciting night games. I mean, rivalries, Cowboys-Eagles, I mentioned. Chiefs-Chargers should be a good one. The Sunday nighter, not division rivals, but certainly big rivals in the Ravens and Bills Sunday nighter. And then the Monday nighter is a division rivalry again. The Vikings against the Bears. Will they all be good games? Who knows? But as much as I don't want to rush the next 7 weeks, I am very excited about the start of the football season, and I'm sure most of you are as well. No matter what your expectations are for the Browns this season, and for most people, it's probably at best, 7 wins, 8 wins at best. If you're being realistic, that seems like a stretch. But when the season starts, you have hope, even if it's not realistic. And so, for me personally, I can't wait for it to get here. First question of the day comes from, and Sam says, "Get well soon, Dustin." I will pass the word. Preston Tucker says, "Do you think they still bring on Judkins at some point?" So, obviously, I don't know. You never know. Most of you at this point know, I'm sure, that Quinton Judkins was arrested, assault, domestic violence. He allegedly punched his girlfriend in the face. It's horrible stuff. If what he's accused of is true, it's horrible, and he's a bad guy. But the reality is that there's bad guys in the league, there's bad guys at your office, there's bad guys everywhere. It's unfortunate. He's probably going to get suspended at some point. Right now, he's unsigned. Most of the second-round picks are unsigned because some of these second-round picks are trying to get guaranteed money, their whole contract guaranteed. So it's leading to some potential holdouts here that we haven't seen. The Bengals first-round pick, Shamar Steuart, there's some language in the contract. They haven't gotten that done. Like I said, most of the second-round picks are unsigned. So it is more unsigned guys at the start or at the near start of training camp than we've seen in forever. But that's the situation right now. So do I think the Browns will sign Quinton Judkins? Yeah, at some point. But they appear to be in no rush to sign him. That's the word. And maybe they want the penalties doled out by the league before they sign him. I'm not sure at this point. He's certainly not going to get, for those players looking for all their money guaranteed in the second round. There's no way the Browns are going to do that with him now. I mean, to be involved in this situation before you even sign your contract, beyond the awfulness, the stupidity is just next level. But again, if this in fact happened, it doesn't look good for him. But there's going to be some sort of suspension in this situation. And so, yes, I think they'll sign him at some point. Yes, I think he'll play at some point. But it's not going to be, I think we all thought, and I know I certainly had huge expectations for Quinton Judkins. I thought he had a chance to be the most impactful player on the Browns offense this year, and that's out the window for me now because I don't know when he's going to play, if at all, this season. I was expecting him to have a huge year as the Browns starting running back, as the heir apparent to Nick Chubb, and at least for now, that's out the window. Now, maybe he comes back. Maybe he's only suspended 6 games. Maybe he comes back for 11 games, plays great, and becomes the leading back. Certainly possible. The talent is there, but right now it's hard to have much, if any, in terms of expectations or a high level of expectations when it comes to Quinton Judkins, and that's a huge disappointment from both a off the field and football perspective. So there you go. There, Z says, What would your walk-up what would your walk-up song? What would my walk-up song be? When I was a kid and playing ball, we didn't have walk-up songs. Certainly not in Little League, and when I played in high school, there was, we had like 8 fans watching the game. I certainly didn't have a walk-up song, but I don't know. A lot of the songs I like, I don't think would be, mine would definitely not be Sexy and I Know It. No, I don't even know that song, but that certainly would not be me. But I appreciate the love there, Z. I don't know. I would have to think about it because most of the songs that I like are not great walk-up music. Like, am I playing Billy Joel for a walk-up? What would be a good Billy Joel song as a walk? Pressure. Maybe Pressure. There you go. Pressure by Billy Joel. Would that work? I'll go with that. All right, we got some baseball questions, and I'll get to that in a minute. But Aaron says, good morning, Bull. Good morning, Aaron. I know I feel this way, but I bet they are regretting losing Chubb. I know Ford can't get it done, and he isn't consistent. I think I hate to say it, but I don't think the Browns are regretting losing Chubb. I think the Browns believe that Nick Chubb is not going to ever be the player he was, and he probably won't be. I regret that Chubb's not here. But, he's getting old for a running back. The last 2 years he's been hurt. When he played last year, he didn't play well. And he just may not be a top back anymore. It just happens like that. Now, I'm rooting for him to bounce back, and if he does, there's certainly be a lot of regret in that situation, I would think. But I don't buy that that they have any regret right now. Whether they drafted Quinton Judkins or not, I don't think they were bringing back Nick Chubb. I just don't think that was happening. Sam says, how do you have the AFC North shaken out? I got Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, Browns, top 3 all above 500. I've got Ravens, Bengals. I'm not picking the Bengals to win the division. They are my team, and I think they're pretty good, but their defense is still really bad. They haven't signed their first-round pick, who's a defensive player. And their best defensive player is pissed off at the organization. I don't know if he's going to play unless he gets a new contract. Those things should have both been taken care of. They should have signed Chase last year. They wouldn't have had to pay him as much. So they handled things poorly, and I think that's going to negatively affect them. But in the end, I do think they have a very good chance to make the playoffs because of their offense. If the defense could just even be below average, they'll make the playoffs. But it can't be as horrible as it was last year. But I'm not going to pick them to win the division. So I'm going to go Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns. I do think the top 3 will all be over 500. I agree with that. Aaron says, even if Chubb isn't his old self, he would still be better than anything we currently have. I don't know. I guess time will tell. I'm curious to see what Dylan Samson could do. Now he's going to get an opportunity. Last year, Nick Chubb was not better than Jerome Ford. I can't believe I'm saying that, but he wasn't. Could he be this year? Could Nick Chubb be better than Jerome Ford is this year? Sure. Could he bounce back? Absolutely. Is it likely? Probably not. Selmo says, Amari Cooper and Flacco reunion? Yeah, I don't see that happening. Amari is still a free agent, though. Eddie says, do the Bengals get anything if Steuart goes back to college football? I don't think he can go back to college football. I know he's practicing with his team. I don't think he can go back. Now, he doesn't have to sign, and the Bengals would get nothing. The whole thing's stupid. This is insane. This whole holdup is about whether they cut him, some protections there. We're talking about, in the grand scheme of football, like no money. This is just asinine that the Bengals can't get this done. It's so stupid. They've had a reputation as a cheap team, and in some ways they are. It's so weird because they've paid, in the last couple of years, they've made Joe Burrow at the, one of the highest paid quarterbacks of all time. They made Jamar Chase the highest paid wide receiver of all time. They made T. Higgins the highest paid second wide receiver. They spent a lot of money. Like, they've spent. I give them credit for that. But, like, then they mess around with stupid things like this. It doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I don't know. The whole thing's stupid. But I think in the end they'll wind up getting it done. But, the way they're handling it, the way they've handled it to this point is really stupid. Really stupid. All right. Let's get to and I just want to say, hey, if you're watching this is the first time I think we've had the show on live on Twitter, live on X, as in addition to YouTube. So thank you if you're watching there. Appreciate it. Go Guards asked me a good question. Would you leave the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show for triple the salary to host a UCSS-style show about the Cubs, Bengals, and whatever basketball team you wanted, but you'd have to move to Kentucky? God. I mean, triple? Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It'd be fun to talk about the Cubs and the Bengals. I don't want to move to Kentucky. I don't want to move, period. But for triple the salary, I mean, I just don't see how I could say no. But it would take triple. I wouldn't do it for double. I might do it for double. So, Anyway, but that's a good question, Go Guards. But I don't know. I don't want to move, period, let alone to Kentucky. Okay. Eddie says, would you like for the swing off to permanently replace extra innings? Absolutely not, Eddie. I'm fine with the swing off. I know people are worked up about the swing off in the All-Star game. I'm fine with it there. I would not want it in any kind of regular season or postseason. I would be definitely against that. I actually like the runner on second base. I know a lot of diehard baseball fans, old school baseball fans, hate the ghost runner or whatever you want to call it. I love it. I think it's good. I think it creates a level of excitement. But I don't want a home run derby to decide a game. Again, I don't care in the All-Star game. Who cares? Ultimately, it doesn't matter who wins. So I know some people are up in arms about that. I don't care. But not games that matter. I don't want that happening in that situation. So no. As for the Guardians, they'll get back in action. And we had a Guardians question, but Guardians back in action tomorrow. Coming off their best week in a while. They won 6 out of 7 against the Astros and the White Sox. We talked about it before the break. They have a pretty favorable schedule to start the second half. Well, not really the second half of the season. Man, I've had an itchy nose this whole freaking show. Driving me nuts. It's allergy season. I don't usually have bad allergies, but I've had them lately. They play the Athletics to start the post-All-Star break schedule at home. 7 straight games at home between the Athletics and Baltimore. They go on the road for 3 with Kansas City and then right back home, 3 with Colorado and 3 with Minnesota. So, and the Colorado series is the last one in July. So you have 13 games before the trade deadline, and 10 of the 13 are at home. The only 3 on the road are in Kansas City. And so it's an opportunity for the Guardians to potentially get back, not in the division. The division's over. We know that. But get back in, legitimately in the wild card race and maybe try to convince management that they should not be sellers. I think it's unlikely. The Guardians will not be buyers no matter what happens here in these next 2 weeks. Could they, but if they play well, the possibility of them maybe trading away Clase or anybody else, I think goes down, potentially. But ultimately, you know what? The more I think about it, actually, I do not think that's the case. No matter if the Guardians get a great offer, a Godfather offer for Emmanuel Clase, they will trade him. It doesn't matter what their record is. I guarantee you that. But it would have to be a great offer, something they felt like they couldn't refuse. That's just how they operate, like it or not. So I think there's no doubt that they would move Clase. Now, I saw this clip a few people sent me, some sports talk host in L.A., ESPN L.A., talking about this trade proposal where the Dodgers would get Stephen Kwan and Emmanuel Clase. And I think the return package, I can't remember exactly what it was. Let me see if I can find this real quick. You think I would have had this prepared. See, this is what happens when you I forgot I was going to talk about this. Let's see. Okay, so the pitchers, they had the Guardians getting Justin Robleski, I think, and Ben Kasparius, who have been up and down with the Dodgers the last few years. They had them getting Jose DePaula, who's the Dodgers' top prospect. He's an outfielder. And then they said, one more prospect. And smartly, the guy he was doing the show with said, the Guardians would never make that trade. And he's right. It wasn't even close. I had people responding to me on Twitter saying, oh, they're not that far off. No, yes, first of all, they wouldn't make that trade for just Emmanuel Clase. DePaula is a really nice prospect for the Dodgers. But he's a young player. Like, he's not ready to play in the majors. That can't be. I'm sorry. If the Dodgers and DePaula, again, top 50 prospect, but he's playing an A-ball. I can't. Well, now he's moved up since then, but I cannot. If I'm trading Emmanuel Clase or Stephen Kwan, and I doubt they're going to trade Stephen Kwan, I absolutely have to get the best player in the deal. Better be somebody that can play in the big leagues right away, and he can't. Now, really good prospect. Love to get him. Dalton Rushing, who's their top, catching prospect, who's in the big leagues right now, he would have to be part of the trade. Robleski and Kasparius, to me, they're just guys. If you're gonna, first of all, you want both. You're gonna have to send your it's. Yeah, I want Pajes, their starting center fielder. That's who I want. And they probably won't want to trade him, but who you want? Kwan? Give me Pajes. Give me Pajes, Rushing, and DePaula. And then we could start talking. I'm not doing it for one top prospect. Forget that. So that's just crazy to me. All right, a couple more comments and questions from fans. Yeah, I just answered there, Z. No, they're not going. Who else we got here? Scott, what's the deal with you being a Bengals fan, Bull? I mean, was my team as a kid. What can I tell you? I grew up a Bengals fan. For those who don't know, and obviously Scott's one of them, my dad, when he was a kid growing up in New York, was a Browns fan. Because the Browns in the 50s, obviously, were like the team that was on TV when they'd show football. And my dad loved Paul Brown. And when Paul Brown was pushed out the door and started the Bengals, my dad was pissed and he switched allegiances. And had that not happened, I would have been a Browns fan. You cover a team now for 14 years. Even though it makes no sense, you want the team to do well, if for nothing else, that it's good for business. But that's how it started. JCIA said Kentucky is pretty cheap. Z asks, who's your favorite MLB player of all time? Mine is my top 3 players of all time. 1, Ryne Sandberg. 2, Andre Dawson. 3, Lee Arthur Smith. B. Skrills, boy, the Dodgers got a lot of nerve, but They're the evil empire of baseball. They've taken over for the Yankees. That's fair. I don't care that Kentucky's cheap. I just don't want to live there. I don't want to move to Kentucky. Susan says, good morning. I'm here for 12 only. Is the rookie training camp open to the public? I respect you and G. Bush. Thanks. Okay, Susan, I understand you love 12. I would hope you'd give me a chance for other things besides 12. And good job out of 12 by doing some more community work here. I don't know if it was yesterday or sometime in the last couple of days. Shador went out into the community in the city and was playing ball with kids and just spending time with them. That's very impactful, and it's a great job out of him to be around kids, some that coming from really rough situations where there might not be a lot of hope and positivity, and for Shador to take that time is excellent work. And Susan, to answer your question, the start of rookie camp, which starts tomorrow, is not open to the public. The first practice that's open to the public is on the 25th, next Friday. And that'll be when all the players are there. T. Dank says, love the show, Bull. Love you. Thank you, T. Dank. I appreciate that. And it's right here. Man, I just want to get through today because I want to get baseball back tomorrow. Thankfully, there's an afternoon game, the Cubs and Red Sox tomorrow, because I need to have some baseball to watch. These last 2 days, I'm not, Shane Gillis is funny, but I think is it Gillis? I think it is. But I was not interested in the ESPYs. That was a funny joke he did where he said, hey, 4-time NBA player, whatever. I can't remember the name of the person he said is in the audience. And everybody cheered, and it wasn't a WNBA player. It was just his friend's wife that he had set up beforehand, which I thought was pretty funny. But anyway, that's that. Hey, I'll be on Betting Weekly Hardball today. Be a brief show because there's no games today, but we'll talk about some futures today, and then we'll get back to it. The Betting Weekly Hardball will be on tomorrow. I won't be on tomorrow, but we'll be back to it regularly next week. And as I said, training camp right around the corner. Rookies tomorrow, veterans on Tuesday, first practice Wednesday, first practice open to the public next Friday. So enjoy it all, but let's not rush the summer too quick. Thanks to Z and Alex for producing today. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening and sending in your comments. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Shout out to all those watching live on X today. For the first time, we put the show, and we'll continue to do that as well as being on YouTube. We'll talk to you next time. Where else? But right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull, brought to you by Bet Rivers. See you, everybody.